How Germany destroyed its own currency. Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that your life savings can no longer buy a loaf of bread. It sounds impossible today, but this was reality for millions of Germans in the early 1920s. Germany's hyperinflation remains one of the greatest economic disasters in history. It destroyed savings, ruined families, and changed the future of an entire nation. But how did it happen? To understand the story, we need to go back to the end of World War I. In 1918, Germany lost the war. The country was exhausted. Millions had died, industries were damaged, and the economy was already weak. But things became even worse after the Treaty of Versailles was signed in 1919. The treaty forced Germany to accept responsibility for the war and pay massive reparations to the Allied powers. The amount was enormous, far more than Germany could comfortably afford. The German government faced a difficult problem. It needed money to rebuild the country while also paying its debts. Raising taxes was unpopular and borrowing more money was difficult. So the government chose another solution. It started printing more money. At first this seemed harmless. Printing money allowed the government to pay workers and cover expenses, but there was a hidden danger. Money only has value when people trust it. When too much money is created, each unit becomes less valuable. Imagine if gold suddenly became as common as stones. Its value would collapse. The same thing happened to Germany's currency, the mark. As more money entered the economy, prices slowly began to rise. Then they rose faster. Soon inflation turned into something far more dangerous: hyperinflation. By 1923, the situation had become catastrophic. The value of the German mark collapsed almost completely. People rushed to spend their money as quickly as possible because waiting even one day meant their savings would lose value. Workers were often paid multiple times a day. As soon as they received their wages, they ran to stores before prices increased again. In some cities, restaurant prices changed between ordering a meal and paying for it. The numbers became unbelievable. A loaf of bread that once cost a few marks eventually cost billions. Families who had spent years saving money suddenly discovered that their life savings were worthless. Middle-class citizens were among the hardest hit. Teachers, workers, and retired people lost nearly everything. Photographs from that time show people carrying stacks of banknotes or pushing wheelbarrows full of cash. Some stories even claim that banknotes became so worthless that people used them as fuel because firewood cost more. Whether every story is true or not, one thing is certain: the economic crisis was devastating. But the crisis was not caused only by printing money. In 1923, France and Belgium occupied Germany's Ruhr region after Germany failed to make reparation payments. The Ruhr was one of Germany's most important industrial areas. German workers responded with passive resistance and strikes. The government continued paying these workers even though production had stopped. To do this, even more money was printed. This made the crisis even worse. The economy entered a vicious cycle. More money led to higher prices. Higher prices led to more money printing. And more money printing led to even higher prices. Trust in the currency disappeared. And so without trust, money becomes little more than paper. Eventually, the German government realized that drastic action was necessary. A new currency called the Rentenmark was introduced in late 1923. Strict financial reforms were implemented and confidence slowly returned to the economy. Hyperinflation finally came to an end, but the damage had already been done. Millions had lost their savings. Economic hardship created anger and instability throughout German society. Many historians believe that these conditions helped shape Germany's political future in the years that followed. The lesson of Germany's hyperinflation remains important today. Printing money may seem like an easy solution during difficult times, but excessive money creation can have devastating consequences. Modern economies are far more advanced than they were a century ago. But the basic principle remains the same. Money has value because people believe it has value. When that trust disappears, entire economies can collapse. Germany's story is not just a lesson about economics. It is a warning about the importance of responsible financial decisions and the fragile nature of trust. And that is how Germany destroyed its own currency.